They're talking, they're arguing over you. And not just casually. Oh no, they're twisting every word, every intention, every fragment of your life into their playground of threats and schemes. You're the prize, the target, the center of a storm you didn't even ask to be in. And somewhere deep down, part of you wants to hide, to shrink, to pretend you're just a spectator. But that's not your story. Not today. Not ever. Every time they fight over you, it's like a dagger in slow motion. You see it, twisting, turning, gleaming with accusation. It's almost comical if it weren't so dangerous. Every whispered threat, every veiled warning, every calculated move, it's all a test not of them but of you. Will you crumble under the weight of someone else's obsession? Will you let their words, their threats, dictate the tempo of your life? No. No, no, no. This is your moment, not theirs. Think about it. While they squabble, while they posture, while they attempt to pull the strings, they are powerless. They are trapped in their own minds, their own insecurities. They do not own you. They cannot define you. And yet every threat they hurl, every heated debate, every silent intimidation, it is fuel. Fuel for the fire that's been simmering inside you all along. That fire that tells you I am not theirs. I am not weak. I am awake. Look around. Look at the walls of your situation. People thinking they can dictate your path, manipulate your choices, control your future. They underestimate one thing, your awareness, your strength, your refusal to be anything less than intentional. Threats are shadows. Arguments are noise. But you are the calm in the eye of the storm, the predator in the chaos, the one who watches and learns and rises above. And yes, it scares them. That's why they fight. That's why they whisper. That's why they threaten. You've been here before, haven't you? Feeling the weight of external pressure, the subtle claws of manipulation, the sense that someone else believes they can push you, bend you, make you hesitate. Nah, it's exhausting. But here's the brutal truth. Exhaustion is temporary. Weakness is fleeting. Opportunity, that is eternal. If you recognize it, seize it, claim it. Every threat, every argument, every manipulative gesture. Look closer. Beneath the theatrics, beneath the drama, lies clarity. There lies your chance. And let's be honest, what they don't understand is this. The more they threaten, the more they argue, the more they try to pull you into their chaos, the stronger you become. Ironic, isn't it? Their energy, their fear, their desperation, it all becomes your leverage. Every whispered ultimatum is a mirror. Every heated debate is a reflection of their own weakness. And every attempt to chase or corner you, it's proof you are already ahead, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. You might be asking yourself, how do I survive this? How do I turn this around? The answer is simple, and yet it's uncomfortable. You survive by watching. You survive by waiting. You survive by understanding that they cannot touch your vision, your determination, your focus. You survive by moving when they are still frozen in their own frenzy. You survive by becoming the version of yourself they cannot even imagine, because that version does not rely on their approval, their recognition, their validation. They think they have the upper hand. They're busy swinging at shadows, imagining control where none exists. But here's the kicker. You don't need to fight them in their arena. That's their playground. You operate in silence, in precision, in strategy. Observe everything, every argument, every threat, every manipulation. They are revealing themselves, their weaknesses, their fears. Watch closely. Take notes in your mind. The patterns, the overreactions, the desperation, they are your roadmap. Distance without detachment. You don't have to engage, you don't have to justify. Let them argue, let them threaten, let them scramble in their frenzy. Your calm is your power. Every time they push, resist the urge to react impulsively. Let them exhaust themselves. Let their noise become background static. Your focus? Sharp, precise, controlled. Your life is not a battlefield for their ego. It is your stage. Claim your narrative. Don't wait for permission. Don't allow them to twist the story. They may argue with others, may try to turn allies against you, may whisper threats, but you are the author here. Write clearly, decide firmly, move intentionally. Every choice you make in clarity weakens the chaos they are trying to build. Every confident step you take forces them to face a truth they cannot deny. You are untouchable in your direction. Harness the tension. That fear, that threat, that pressure, they are fuel. Transform it. Let it sharpen your instincts. Let it strengthen your resolve. Every time they raise their voice, every time they threaten pursuit, every time they manipulate, think, this is opportunity. Opportunity to rise above, to execute, to move while they are stuck in reaction. Let their energy power yours. Their storm is your signal to act. Boundaries are your shield. Make them clear. Make them visible, not in confrontation, but in unwavering action. No compromise on your priorities. No negotiation on your values. Let them argue. Let them speculate. Let them try to scare you. They cannot enter the line you draw. Every boundary you maintain is a victory. Every step back from their chaos is a move forward for your autonomy. Anticipate. Don't react. They want to chase. They want tension. They want you pulled into the drama. But here's the trick. They cannot predict foresight. They cannot control what they cannot see. Plan your moves. Think 3 steps ahead and act when the moment is right. Your calm precision becomes a weapon. Their threats? Hollow echoes. Their arguments? Smoke. And when you strike, it is not violence. It is inevitability. Own your presence. Confidence is not loud. It is subtle, unshakable, undeniable. Let your actions speak. Let your composure intimidate. Let your intelligence and awareness leave them guessing. Every time they threaten, every time they argue, every time they scramble, they are reminding you of your power. They are validating your influence. That tension they create, it is a mirror of your potential. Remember why you move. This is not revenge. This is not reaction. This is elevation. Every observation, every boundary, every precise step forward, it is about becoming stronger, smarter, sharper. It is about showing that no threat, no argument, no third-party interference can derail the trajectory you choose. You are not defined by their chaos. You are defined by the calm, relentless force of your own resolve. They don't see it coming. They never do. All the arguing, all the threats, all the frantic scrambling, they are blind to the one thing they can never touch. Your mind, your focus, your will. Every move they make has only sharpened you, honed you, prepared you for the moment when silence becomes action. And now, it is here. The stage is set. The chaos is theirs. The victory is yours, but it doesn't look like what they expect. Strike with precision, not anger. Anger is loud, messy, fleeting. Precision? Deadly. They have shown you their patterns, their weaknesses, their desperation. Use it. Not to punish, not to humiliate, but to claim your space, to neutralize their influence. Every subtle decision, every quiet assertion, it is a step closer to control. And control? That is power, that is freedom, that is dominance over chaos, without ever raising a hand. Let inevitability work for you. You are not chasing. You are not reacting. You are a force they cannot predict, a tide they cannot hold back. Their arguments, their threats, they are the echoes of their fear. And your calm, unrelenting progress, that is the wave that will sweep them aside. Watch them scramble while you glide forward. Every step they try to contest, already anticipated. Already countered, already irrelevant. Convert fear into fuel. They tried to intimidate you. They tried to corner you. They hoped tension would paralyze. Instead, you let it ignite something deeper: clarity, focus, awareness. Every whispered threat, every argument behind your back, it becomes a reminder that you are alive, engaged, and untouchable in your strategy. Their chaos is not your cage, it is your launch pad. Make your boundaries lethal, not with anger, but with consistency. Not with words, but with action. When they push, you stand firm. When they manipulate, you pivot. Every time they attempt to reach you through intimidation, they meet the same wall, unwavering clarity. Let them test. Let them prod. Every failed attempt only proves what they already fear. You cannot be moved by their noise. Master the unseen. The third-party threats, the hidden schemes, you know them before they happen. You anticipate their moves, chart their trajectories, and operate in spaces they cannot enter. They think they are playing chess, but you are the board. Every piece they touch moves exactly as you intend. Every threat they utter collapses under the weight of your foresight. Own the narrative they tried to steal. Let them talk. Let them argue. Let them threaten. The story is yours. Every step, every choice, every deliberate action writes it clearly. You are not a pawn. You are not a target. You are the player they cannot defeat. Their fear, their desperation, their schemes, they are your confirmation. They are proof of your influence. Rise so high they cannot reach you. Calm, calculated, unshaken. Every threat, every argument, every attempt to manipulate, they are irrelevant. You have moved beyond their reach. You have converted tension into clarity, chaos into strategy, fear into power. And when they look for the version of you they tried to control, they will find it gone. Replaced by someone far stronger, far sharper, far more alive. Remember this: they argued over you. They threatened pursuit. They scrambled in vain. And yet here you are, untouched, unshaken, unstoppable in your mind and intent. Their chaos is finished. Their noise is silenced. Their attempts at control neutralized. And you stand victorious. Not because they failed, but because you chose mastery over reaction, strategy over panic, clarity over confusion. They thought they could contain you. How amusing. Every argument, every threat, every desperate attempt to pull you into their drama. It was a test you didn't just pass, you crushed it. But now comes the real power, what you do next. They are still stuck in their frenzy, their fear, their illusion of control. And you are free. Not just free to move, but free to reshape the game entirely. Known the silence. Silence is your ally. Every word they shout, every accusation they make, it bounces off you, powerless. Let them fill the air with chaos. You don't answer with noise, you answer with presence. Calm, sharp, calculated. The more they try to pull you in, the more they reveal themselves, while you remain untouchable. And the irony, they are losing their power by trying to hold on to what they cannot control. Expand your territory. While they argue and threaten, you are moving forward. Not randomly, not blindly, purposefully. Every step you take into your growth, your goals, your vision, it pushes the boundaries they once thought they could limit. Their energy, fuel for your momentum. Their chaos, the map showing you where not to step and where to strike. Every movement you make reinforces one truth. You are unstoppable because your strength is deliberate, not reactionary. Transform tension into mastery, that creeping unease, the whispered threats, the frantic debates. It is no longer a burden. It is a tool. A weapon, forged from attention, strategy, and awareness. Every time they try to scare you, every time they argue over you, you sharpen, you evolve. You see things others cannot, and in that space, you become unassailable. You move through life with a predator's clarity and a strategist's foresight. Let them realize the cost. Their attempts to threaten, to argue, to manipulate, you remain above it all. They feel the weight of their own chaos while you glide forward, composed, deliberate, untouchable in your mind. They are learning slowly that control is not theirs to claim, and that realization, it is your victory. Not through conflict, but through mastery. The greatest power is watching them realize their impotence while you remain calm, deliberate, dominant. Never stop moving. The threats won't end. The arguments may resurface. Third-party interference may try again. But now you know the formula. Observe, distance, claim, fuel, boundary, anticipate, rise, repeat, refine, expand. Every challenge becomes another opportunity to sharpen your mind, strengthen your will, and elevate your presence. They will keep coming, but you will keep rising. Cement your legacy. This is more than surviving chaos, more than navigating threats. This is about becoming a force that cannot be ignored, manipulated, or contained. Let your actions speak. Let your calm, deliberate moves leave a mark. Every whispered threat becomes a testament to your power. Every argument a reminder that you move differently, think differently, act differently. You are not a player in their drama. You are the architect of your reality. And finally, take a deep breath. Feel it, that quiet fire, that lethal clarity, that sharp, unshakable presence. It is yours. They saw a side of you that made their blood run cold, a side they never expected, a strength they never imagined, a resilience they never believed you had. And that moment, oh, that moment shifted everything. Because sometimes people think they know you. They think they've measured you, defined you, summed you up, and sealed your story based on the chapters they witnessed. They assume your silence means weakness, your kindness means softness, your patience means naivety. They mistake your humility for fear and your restraint for incapacity. But one day, one moment, something rises in you, something God Himself placed there. And when it comes alive, when it stands up, when it speaks, when it pushes forward, they see a side of you that makes their blood run cold. They saw a side of you that made their blood run cold. And what they witnessed wasn't rage, wasn't arrogance, wasn't revenge. It was revelation. It was the unveiling of the strength God placed inside you long before the world ever tried to break you. It was the moment you stopped shrinking, stopped apologizing, stopped dimming your own light just to keep others comfortable. It was the moment your spirit stood up, the moment your purpose stopped whispering and started roaring. The moment your soul reminded the world that you are not here by accident, you are here by assignment. They thought you would stay quiet forever. They thought you would remain invisible, controllable, predictable. They thought you would keep accepting the treatment they handed you, the limitations they spoke over you, the small space they tried to confine you to. But what they didn't understand is that while they were underestimating you, God was developing you. While they were misjudging you, God was preparing you. While they were doubting you, God was depositing strength into places of your soul that even you didn't know existed. You weren't silent because you were scared. You were silent because God was shaping something in you that could only be formed in stillness. You weren't passive because you were weak. You were patient because God was aligning the right moment for your rise. They couldn't see that every quiet night, every tear that hit the pillow, every prayer whispered into the darkness was chiseling you into someone stronger, wiser, sharper, and far more powerful than you were before the storm ever touched your life. And when that version of you stepped forward, even slightly, it unsettled them. It rattled their assumptions. It shattered their illusions. Because people feel comfortable when they think they understand you. They feel secure when they think they can predict you. But you became unpredictable the moment God awakened the warrior within you. You became uncontainable the moment you stopped trying to fit into the spaces people created for you, instead of the destiny God created for you. You became unstoppable the moment you realized that the same God who carried you through the fire was now revealing the strength you gained from surviving it. They didn't realize you had limits. They didn't realize your grace had a boundary. They didn't realize your silence had an expiration date. They didn't realize your spirit had a switch, and once God flipped it, everything shifted. The moment you chose yourself, chose peace, chose purpose, chose truth, something inside you snapped into alignment. And that alignment made you powerful in a way they were never ready to face. You weren't frightening because you became someone else. You were frightening because you finally became who you always were. You finally walked in the confidence they tried to suppress. You finally spoke with the authority they hoped you'd never discover. You finally stood with the backbone God built in you. And when that side emerged, the God-forged, destiny-backed, spiritually armored version of you, their blood ran cold, not because you were dangerous, but because you were not who they assumed. You were so much more. And now they know. What they never understood is that there was always something different about you, something they couldn't explain, something they couldn't put their finger on, something that made them uneasy even when you were quiet. It wasn't your presence, it was the presence with you. It wasn't your energy, it was the anointing covering you. It wasn't your confidence, it was the calling you carried long before you even realized you were chosen. They sensed something, but they couldn't define it. They felt something, but they couldn't name it. And deep down, it unsettled them, because there is a specific discomfort people feel when they encounter someone backed by God. You move differently. You love differently. You forgave differently. You endured differently. And they mistook that difference for softness, for weakness, for vulnerability. They didn't know that your gentleness was strength under divine restraint. They didn't know your silence was the sound of spiritual strategy. They didn't know your patience was a weapon God sharpened quietly in the dark places of your life. They only saw the surface. They judged what was visible. But they failed to understand that your true power was buried deep, waiting for the moment God Himself decided to reveal it. They saw you bend but never break. They saw you wounded but never destroyed. They saw you isolated but never abandoned. They watched storms hit your life, watched doors close in your face, watched people you trusted turn against you, and yet you never lost your light. You never lost your softness. You never lost your integrity. That should have told them something. That alone should have warned them that you weren't standing in your own strength. You were standing in something far greater. But people get comfortable misjudging you. They get comfortable assuming your breaking point. They get comfortable thinking they know the limits of your endurance. Until one day, one moment, the strength God planted in you refuses to stay buried. It rises, it emerges, it speaks, and suddenly, the same people who felt superior now feel shaken. Not because you became someone else, but because they finally saw the depth of who you've been all along. It wasn't the suddenness of your rise that frightened them. It was the realization that you had carried that fire the entire time. They hadn't been dealing with someone fragile. They had been dealing with someone fortified, someone protected, someone refined, someone forged by seasons they never witnessed, healed by prayers they never heard, and strengthened by battles they never knew you fought. You see, when God is preparing you, the world sees dormancy, but heaven sees development. People see stillness, but God sees sharpening. They think you're inactive, but God is building pressure inside you. Holy pressure. Pressure created to launch you into a version of yourself that the world is never ready for. And when that pressure finally meets your appointed moment, when the fire in you bursts through the surface, when your spirit rises to its full height, people don't just see strength, they see something supernatural. something untamed, something divine. That's what made their blood run cold. Because for the first time, they realized you were not operating by your own power. You were operating by God's. And nothing terrifies people more than discovering they underestimated someone chosen. What truly shook them was not just your strength. It was the moment they realized you had survived things that should have destroyed you. Situations that were designed to break you. Seasons that were meant to crush your spirit, bury your confidence, and erase your identity. They watched you go through storms that would have shattered most people. They saw life hit you with losses, betrayals, disappointments, delays, setbacks, and heartbreaks, and yet you remained standing. They couldn't understand it. They couldn't explain it. They couldn't comprehend how someone who went through that much pain could still carry so much light. They couldn't grasp how you walked through fire and didn't smell like smoke. They couldn't grasp how you faced darkness and didn't lose your vision. They couldn't grasp how you were surrounded by storms and yet maintained your peace. They didn't know that every trial that came against you was strengthening an unseen part of you. They didn't know that your endurance was not natural, it was supernatural. They didn't know that while life was trying to break you, God was building you. Every tear you cried watered something inside your spirit. Every night you spent trying to hold yourself together sutured strength into the fabric of your soul. Every betrayal taught you who not to be and who to rely on. Every heartbreak expanded your capacity to love with deeper wisdom. Every closed door redirected you toward a divine path that was always meant for you. And while they were watching you struggle externally, God was transforming you internally. People often misunderstand the quietest seasons of your life. They think silence means emptiness. They think retreat means defeat. They think isolation means abandonment. But they didn't realize isolation was the cocoon, not the grave. You weren't dying, you were transforming. You weren't lost, you were being repositioned. You weren't forgotten, you were being prepared. Every challenge was chiseling away the old version of you and revealing the stronger, wiser, more aligned version God intended. And when you stepped out of that season, when you emerged from what should have ruined you, they saw the evidence of someone who had been carried by God. They saw someone who didn't crumble under pressure, someone who didn't collapse in adversity, someone who didn't lose themselves when life shifted violently. Your resilience confused them. Your strength unsettled them. Your ability to rise when everything around you fell apart caused a level of discomfort they couldn't mask. Because deep down, they realized something. If you could survive what you survived, nothing could stop you now. If you endured what tried to destroy you, what could intimidate you moving forward? If the fire didn't consume you, what could threaten you anymore? The fact that you walked through what was designed to break you made them confront a sobering truth. You are built differently. You are protected differently. You are moved by something beyond human explanation. Your survival wasn't luck. It was divine intervention. It was God saying, not this one, not today, not ever. And when people recognize that you were supposed to fall, but you rose, they see a side of you that makes their blood run cold, because it means your destiny is not in their hands. It never was, and it never will be. Absolutely, here is an expanded 500-word continuation of the FOURTH keynote, written in the same deep, compelling, God-infused tone that flows seamlessly from the earlier sections. No headings, no breaks, just narration with emotional and spiritual force. What stunned them the most wasn't just your survival, it was your transformation. They expected you to come out bitter, broken, hardened, or full of resentment. They expected the storm to twist you into something cold. They expected the betrayal to poison your heart. They expected the pain to distort your spirit. But when you emerged, you didn't come out damaged, you came out refined. You came out clearer, stronger, more grounded, more aligned. And that shook them in ways they can't admit out loud. Because people can understand a comeback fueled by revenge, anger, or pride. That's predictable. But a comeback fueled by peace, a comeback rooted in purpose, a rise anchored in God. That is terrifying to the ones who hoped your pain would consume you. They didn't know your healing would humble them. They didn't know your elevation would expose their misjudgment. They didn't know your growth would reveal the difference between someone who breaks others and someone who lets God rebuild them. You didn't just bounce back, you evolved. You stepped into a maturity they never saw coming. Your boundaries became stronger. Your discernment became sharper. Your voice became clearer. Your confidence became quieter but deeper. You started moving with a level of wisdom that can only come from walking through darkness and choosing not to let it turn you into something you're not. That level of transformation is unsettling for people who expected your pain to deform you. They expected you to stay in the place where they left you. They expected you to shrink in your wounds, freeze in your fears, or drown in your disappointments. But you rose, you healed, you resurrected, and your healing confronted them with something they tried to avoid, the realization that they underestimated someone who was growing even when they appeared broken. Your healing wasn't loud. It didn't have to be. It showed itself in your posture, in your peace, in your choices, in the way you no longer reacted the same way, in the way you no longer allowed access to those who mishandled you, in the way you no longer apologized for what God called you to be. That healing came from God, not from people. It came from surrender, not from validation. It came from deep work done in the unseen places, the places where your strength was rewired and your identity restored. And that is why they looked at you differently. Because when God heals you, He doesn't just mend what was broken. He upgrades you. He elevates your spirit, purifies your intentions, and aligns your path. And the version of you that emerges is someone your past cannot recognize and your enemies cannot predict. There's something intimidating about someone who faced hell but returned with heaven in their eyes. Someone who walked through trauma but came out with clarity. Someone who was wounded but still chooses love. Someone who was rejected but still blesses. Someone who was betrayed but still forgives. That level of transformation is rare, and it scares people who are still trapped in the places God freed you from. You didn't just heal, you transformed. You stepped into the version of you that was always waiting beneath the pain. And when that version appeared, the elevated, healed, spiritually grounded version, it shook them, because it proved something they never wanted to believe. You weren't broken beyond repair. You were being rebuilt beyond recognition, and that realization made their blood run cold. What truly froze them, what sent that chill down their spine, was realizing that the strength rising from you wasn't human at all. It wasn't something you learned from people, inherited from family, or picked up from experience alone. It was something divine. It was something forged in the presence of God. Because there comes a moment in every chosen person's life when heaven steps forward inside of them. A moment when the fire God placed in their spirit refuses to stay contained any longer. And when that moment hits, when the God in you wakes up, nothing about you stays small. They saw it. They felt it. They couldn't deny it. When you stood up with courage that didn't match the weight of your battles, when you moved with confidence that didn't match the pain you endured, when you walked with purpose, didn't match the chaos you survived, they realized something unsettling. You were not standing by your own strength. You were standing because God was holding you. God was carrying you. God was empowering you. And anyone who has ever tried to break a person God is backing knows the fear of seeing them still rise. You became a living contradiction to everything they believed would stop you. They counted you out, but God counted you in. They thought the pressure would crush you, but the pressure only pushed out the warrior within you. They thought your past would define you, but your past became the platform for your transformation. They thought your heartbreak would silence you, but your heartbreak became the birthplace of your authority. And when people see you walking with a strength that should not exist after what you've gone through, it shakes them. Because they know, deep down, they wouldn't have survived it. They know they would have collapsed under the same weight. They know they would have lost themselves in the same fire. They know they would have surrendered in the same darkness. But you, God sustained you, God strengthened you, God lifted you. And that kind of resilience feels supernatural to people who have never experienced divine restoration. What unsettles them is not that you came back, it's how you came back. You didn't crawl out of your pain, you walked out with authority. You didn't limp out of your storms. You marched out with purpose. You didn't escape your struggles bruised and empty. You emerged with wisdom, clarity, and a calling sharpened by everything you endured. That kind of comeback doesn't come from willpower. It comes from God's power, and deep inside they know it. They know something holy is covering you. They know something greater is guiding you. They know something beyond explanation is strengthening you. And while they may not say it out loud, their spirit recognizes the truth. A divine hand is on your life. They're not intimidated by your personality. They're intimidated by your anointing. They're not afraid of your confidence. They're afraid of your calling. They're not shaken by your presence. They're shaken by God's presence in you. That is the side of you they saw. The side they weren't prepared for. The side they can't compete with, can't control, can't comprehend. The side God revealed at the exact moment it was meant to rise. The side that makes their blood run cold, not because you are dangerous, but because you are destined. And nothing terrifies people more than encountering someone protected by heaven and unstoppable in purpose. What terrified them most wasn't what you did, but what you became. Because once God reveals the version of you that was hidden behind years of endurance, growth, pruning, and silent battles, there is no going back. That version walks differently, speaks differently, loves differently, chooses differently. That version no longer tries to fit into the spaces that once felt comfortable because you've outgrown them. That version of you no longer lowers your standards just to be accepted, no longer silences your voice to be tolerated, no longer dims your light to make others feel secure. You stepped into a place where your spirit refuses to shrink, and that shift, that elevation, is what makes their blood run cold. They didn't know the quiet was preparation. They didn't know the waiting was alignment. They didn't know the hardest seasons were training. They didn't know the isolation was transformation. They didn't know the tears were watering seeds that would eventually bloom into something undeniable. They saw the outer version of you, the one who was fighting battles in silence, but they never saw the inner construction site where God was rebuilding you from the ground up. And now, you're standing in a level of identity they never expected you to reach. You're operating in a level of clarity that exposes everything around you. You're walking with a level of self-respect that instantly reveals who cannot handle your evolution. You're moving with a level of spiritual authority that no longer entertains what drains you. This version of you is not reactive. You are responsive. You are intentional. You are grounded. You are aligned with God in a way that makes you unshakable. It's not that you became cold, it's that you became clear. Clear about who you are, clear about who you're not, clear about what you deserve, clear about where you're going, and clear about who cannot go with you. And clarity is threatening to those who benefited from your confusion. Your boundaries are threatening to those who thrived when you had none. Your peace is unsettling to those who once fed on your pain. Your healing is uncomfortable to those who preferred you broken. Your growth reveals everything they refuse to confront within themselves. But here's the truth that they now realize. Your transformation wasn't optional. It was ordained. God didn't put you through all that to return to who you were. He didn't let you survive storms just to stay small. He didn't carry you through battles just to keep you timid. He didn't rebuild you just to let you be mishandled again. You didn't evolve by accident. You evolved because heaven demanded it. And now that you've risen, truly risen, you carry a presence that cannot be dismissed, a discernment that cannot be manipulated, a strength that cannot be bent, a purpose that cannot be stopped. And that is what shakes them, because they know the old version of you is gone, and the new version walks with God's fingerprints all over your life. This is the version they never expected to meet. The version God hid inside you until the right moment. The version that is unstoppable because it is aligned with destiny. The version that makes their blood run cold, not because of fear, but because they are finally witnessing the person God always knew you would become.